Tonight we explore the topic of transgender athletes in high school sports. It's a difficult balance between the rights of transgender individuals to compete and the rights of others to compete on an equal playing field. Here's correspondent Jackie Heinrich.
High school runners are going toe-to-toe this weekend at the New England Regional Championships in Boston. A chance to get in front of college coaches and maybe even earn a scholarship. But Connecticut junior Selena Soule won't be competing in the 55-meter dash. She was edged out of the top 6 spots in part by 2 transgender runners, Andrea Yearwood and Terry Miller, both male at birth, now identifying as female.
In our series, A More Perfect Union, we aim to show that what unites us as Americans is far greater than what divides us. This morning, CBS Evening News anchor Jeff Glor brings us the story of a principal who goes above and beyond to bring his students together by meeting some of their most basic needs.
Oh my sweet Lord. Akbar Cook calls it the big room.
Whatever you guys need, we have it.
The place where he stores hundreds of donated bottles of laundry detergent, fabric softener, and dryer sheets. Inside West Side High in Newark, New Jersey. We make it.
A senior citizen savagely attacked.
I am a little lost for words.
That is foul. Are you kidding me? Today, the NYPD's chief of detectives said the search is on for this suspect. Subway riders captured the moment he kicked a 78-year-old woman in the face. Over
36-year-old Mark Gomez of Yonkers kept his head bowed low and didn't answer any questions about the heinous attack he is now charged with, allegedly kicking a 78-year-old woman repeatedly in the head and body that was captured on cell phone video for all the world to see.
A safe place for candidates who want to come out and talk about reparations, who are willing to be on the record, is specifically of the idea of reparations, is to be supporting a bill that former Congressman John Conyers had introduced in Congress almost every year.
He started in 1989.
People for a long time, my members in the Progressive Black Caucus colleagues will tell you, I've been saying to them that we are approaching the place that we've been before. I was around in the 60s, as you said, and I remember some of the sloganeering, and I remember what some of the political leaders had to say. That was a different day and a different time.
Former Vice President Joe Biden is trying to clear up some past issues ahead of his expected announcement that he is joining 14 other Democrats in a run for the White House. Last night, he brought up his rather controversial Senate confirmation hearing from 28 years ago. Here's Jan Crawford.
Wish I could have done something.
At an awards ceremony last night in New York, the former vice president once again offered an apology of sorts to law professor Anita Hill.
When students were bullied because of dirty clothes, a principal installed a free laundromat at school. You know I'm going to say that again. Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. Hello and welcome, and this is Black Minds News, which is also Black Minds TV, and I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this channel is to report, articulate, transmit, communicate, articulate, decode, relate, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, websites, or quotes from publications. As I articulate these information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created the greatest land that they call the United States, ADOS, BADOS, and DOS. As a descendant of that, we give honor to our ancestors. And you know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. That's right, y'all. Back and foremost once again for another show on this date, March 30th, 2019. I want to thank those who have watched the last video. Again, I told you I am the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. And so it's not always as easy for me to get a show. I'm trying to wait out the 90 days. Right? I should be closing in on the 90 days. It's been almost 3 months. Mr. Blow Your Mind has not done a live. So let's see how they're going to play it. First and foremost, before I get any further into the show, want to say what's good to the fam and subscribers in the house. What's good? Welcome. New subscribers as well. Welcome to the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. This is called Black Minds News, and welcome. And thank you for subscribing. Passerbys, you know, over here is always a grand opening. You know how a grand opening is. You go down the aisle, see something you might like, purchase something by hitting that like button. If you have something you dislike, hit the dislike button. Maybe I have my supervisor, manager come out to you. They can have a couple, spit some, you know, try to make a meeting of the minds and try to see if we can get you to come back, see through the library, see something you like, hit that like button. If you like what you see the second time, maybe you might just subscribe. And we thank you for passing by, clicking on just to see what's going on over here. And agents, 90 days coming up soon. What y'all gonna do? So anyway, let's move forward. So, in the world that we live in, that we call these United States, there's always something going on, right? Always, huh? Like I say, put yourself like a piñata, put on a blindfold, get yourself a big old map, get a dart in your right hand, spin yourself around 3 times, throw it no matter where it lands on the map. It's always popping on this planet we call Earth. So again, as those who are living and residing in this place that we call the United States, and the wacky world of trying to stay, let's say, normal, right? We would say it's normal. And due to the simple fact that, you know, it's like, what is normal, right? You know what I'm saying? It's an interpretation, right? It's like everybody have their own interpretation of what they see, what is considered normal. Because, I mean, what was normal at one point in time today may be something entirely different, right? And so I guess those who have been at a earlier period of time and seeing the transformation of how it could be devolving, right? There's a devolving aspect to humanity, right? And so those who have been at another point of time are either going to adjust or they're going to actually rebel, right? And so, you know, I'll get to that aspect as I get into the show. But let me start the show off and get it going. Don't delay too much more. But I'm going to put it this way. So, you know, on this show here, those will be avid watchers, again, going through the history of the show. You know, I always touch things because, again, wherever the news is at, whatever it may be, we may touch it. Again, we don't so much just maybe we don't just do one aspect or one genre of news. We do whatever it may be of interest to the black minds, right? And then those who may not be black, but you know, you like what black people, you like to always try to be up on what we talking about and what we up on. So what we do is over here, we kind of sift through, and I see some things, I see some interest, and I'll bring it forth here again, you know, teach his own. And so I seen this here, and I said, well, what was this about, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When you see that which supposedly represents that which you consider to be the direct line that has a direct, you know, it has the phone number to call up. You know what I'm saying? And then you see it acting in this story, you got to say, well, what's that's all about? You know, again, I'm going to give my own interpretation of what I see. So let me show what I'm talking about, and we shall be right back to make sure everything is going good. Let's see, we're going to make the show, get it off and pop and do what it do, right? Let's see. Got to make it sure it do what it do, because right now it looks like it's doing some other stuff there, right? All right, there we go. was stuck there for a minute, wasn't it? So, okay, let's go ahead and see if we can get it going. See how this goes. Let's get it. We back. All right, there we go. We back. I don't know why I'm doing that one there too. That's kind of crazy. But anyway, we back, right? So we see the Vicar, V-A-C-A-I, which is the representation of Christ on earth as the representative of the house that it created, so-called church. We see that, the Pope is out there, you know what I'm saying? Playing fake BADOS one hit my hand. Remember that when you was a shorty or something, two people wanted to fight and said BADOS one hit my hand, right? You know all that old stuff, right? Right, saying which hand is it in, right? But for some odd reason, the Pope seemed to be like, man, ain't nobody kissing the ring. Back up off me, homies. Get up off me. Ain't nobody kissing my ring. You know what I'm saying? He let that one kind of get close up on it, guy. You know what I'm saying? He picking and choosing. You know what I'm saying? As if like. You know what I'm saying? People being rejected and they kind of like, they chiding off. They got, you know what I'm saying? Pope says though. He said, no. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Is it under his discretion to feel like, no, you don't get it's under who I want to kiss the ring? Everybody don't get a chance to kiss the ring just because you get a chance to shake my hand and kiss the ring. Matter of fact, what is that old thing? Kiss the ring. I don't know about kiss the ring, right? You know what I'm saying? What is that all about anyway? When you think about it, it's about kissing the ring. Matter of fact, just look at that whole aspect of that thing about, having somebody as what they call it, a mediary between you and that which is the source. So, that's what the whole, church aspect is about. You have somebody to go through to get to the other man. It's like, how I say you come, I want to speak to the president. They say, no, you got to get to the representative. You can't just get to the king like that, right? So you go through. So in this case, you get to come directly to the vicar, which is the representation, and you saying, Papa, you want to kiss the ring? And he like, we ain't having that. So whatever ritual that is, again, I don't know, that's kind of a Catholic thing, and there's some black people out here who are Catholics, right? I guess if you understand the history and what that played as into, again, as BADOS, DOS, and ADOS, you would know that institution in itself had a lot to do with facilitating and giving the papal bull, which probably was the catalyst to get that whole thing and put our ancestors in the conditions to where we are now the, descendants of what all transpired back in that time, right? So we see that the Pope was out here, like again, because they done had those the Vatican summit, right? And when it was, a lot of people they was all focused on R. Kelly, but a lot of that was about what was going on in the church. And again, there's a lot of things that would be considered pedophilia and everything else. And so, look like the Pope here was looking like, man, I ain't, to me, you dirty mugs around me, and I ain't kissing my ring makes me dirty, so I can't be letting y'all, it's bad enough I'm touching your hand, I'm going to sanitize, boil my hands when I get done, but kiss the ring, you know what I'm saying, you ain't supposed to be touching that, you ain't supposed to be tainting that, you know what I'm saying, so, he trying to clean house, and so, again, they being good sports about it, but some people, saying, what would happen if you did that to, like, let's say, some of our people. It doesn't matter if Pope fronting you off like that, pulling their hand back. After he did about one or two, somebody would have probably, well, you my Pope, you know what I'm saying? Somebody probably would have snapped, right? So you know how it is, y'all. So you know, take it for what you want it, say what you want to say, right? You know, I guess he's entitled, right? I guess he's entitled to be like, that ain't what he trying to do, right? He ain't trying to have everybody kiss up all up in this ring because you ain't worthy. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes some people just not worthy, and you just thinking that just because you have access to me means you entitled. And he's like, no, it ain't going like that. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't going like that. So, you know, they're going to start the show off with a little something like that, and then they're going to come right here behind this here because, you know, think about it like this. All right, what's all that about? What that's all about? All right, y'all, I don't know what that's all about. All right, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, make sure this is right, though. I think this should be all good. Right. Hold on, where is... Hold on, see? That's what I'm talking about right there. See, that's not right. That's not right. There should be something else that goes with that. So let me see something here, y'all. Hold on one second. Thanks for your patience. I know that goes there, right? Let me see something. I'm going to have to put y'all on pause for a second while I see what's going on here. Hold on one second. Back now. Sometimes things just don't be in order the way I got it all set up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do some other things. So, yeah, I want to thank y'all for being your patience for me while I get everything set up. And let's go ahead and get on to the next part of the show, right? Let's go ahead and get it going. So, let's get it.
Series, A More Perfect Union, we aim to show that what unites us as Americans is far greater than what divides us. This morning, CBS Evening News anchor Jeff Glor brings us the story of a principal who goes above and beyond to bring his students together by meeting some of their most basic needs.
Oh, my sweet Lord. Akbar Cook calls it the big room.
Whatever you guys need, we have it.
The place where he stores hundreds of donated bottles of laundry detergent, fabric softener, and dryer sheets. inside West Side High in Newark, New Jersey.
We've been getting a lot of community service, help from all around the state.
The big room was a solution to a big problem.
My kids weren't coming to school. Good morning. What's up, baby? Good morning.
Some of Cook's kids, he calls them all his babies, weren't showing up because they were wearing dirty clothes and getting bullied.
I think we really put the microscope on basic needs of kids. Everyone wants the high test scores. Everyone wants them to perform well. But if the kid don't feel confidence in just coming to school and being that person that we know they can be, then what are we doing?
Before you raise the SAT scores, how about giving somebody some clean clothes?
There you go. Fight for that baby the way you want them to fight on that test.
The famous washers and dryers.
Today, Westside has 5 commercial-grade washers and dryers. Deshaun Denny and Brianna Singleton use them all the time.
When you first got it, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of scared to bring my clothes over, but I shrugged it off. So when I went to cook, I asked him, yo, can I use the laundromat? He like, no, you good. We nothing but family in here. You could bring it anytime you want.
We have a test coming up in about 2 weeks.
Principal Cook, who grew up in Newark, also started a program called Lights On. He opens his school from 6 to 11 p.m. on Fridays during the school year, and 3 nights a week during the summer. 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. you're supposed to be home eating dinner, doing homework, sleeping.
That's not the case. My babies are taking care of their younger siblings. Their parents are either working hard and just got to take all these odd jobs, or the parents are not there at all.
The kids use the gym, dance, and are fed warm meals. It is a long way from what Westside was just a few years ago.
In this line of work, I have to go undefeated, because if I lose, I could lose a kid's life. So you have to just keep this pounding the pavement. Like, I'm not this genius. My babies came with a obstacle, and I have to help them navigate it.
Even though we students, he treat us more like we his child. Like, we could come in with a bad day, we talk to him, he make our day better.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it's dope.
Good morning, Mr. Cook.
Good morning. How you doing, Ma?
It might seem hard to believe that one person could clean up a school and a whole neighborhood. But in Newark, the proof is in the principal.
This is selfless work that we do. No one goes into education thinking they're going to get rich.
You're not getting a medal at the end of the day.
No, sir, but I have a gold medal around my heart from the love that the kids could give back to me, and just the families and the communities that are taking it one step further. So I can't. You give me goosebumps, Jeff.
We're getting them here too. Boy,
he gave us goosebumps,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. You can tell he's rooting for every kid. What inspired the Principal Cook to get into education?
He has educators in the family. Both of his aunts were teachers, but he drifted a bit in college and after until he found his calling. Yeah. But now that he has it, it is 24/7 for him. I mean, this is
you see that.
anything but a 9-to-5 job. He's there at night. He's there on weekends. Yeah. He is thinking about the kids constantly.
Well, the payback must be huge. I mean, when you help a kid like that.
Well, that's the thing. He says, I didn't go into this to get rich. You know, I go into it to be rewarded by helping these kids and seeing how they succeed down the road.
Let's just say this. How many people have a gold medal around their heart and feel that?
Akbar Cook does.
Oh, for sure.
He calls all these students his babies.
Yes.
And I like that little gray patch, too. I like Principal Cook.
He's got a 20-year-old son. He calls us baby still, too.
If I was a 20-year-old, I don't know how to feel about that.
Very cool.
What a great story, Jeff. Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
When students were bullied because of dirty clothes, a principal installed a free laundromat at school. You know I'm going to say that again. When students were bullied because of dirty clothes, a principal installed a free laundromat at school. This story was done back in December 4, 2018. The video seen is an update of 2019. And the story reads like this. The teenage girl screamed and fought with school security officers when he tried to check her bag. The police later told me she had dirty clothes in her bag because she was homeless and didn't want anybody to know. Akbar Cook, the principal of West Side High School in Newark, New Jersey, told CNN she was fighting for her pride. Cook said many students at West Side faced humiliation because they didn't have anything clean to wear. So when school starts September 4th, there will be a new facility in the building, a free laundromat. Shame keeps students away. Kids who could not afford to wash their clothes faced intense teasing when they showed up in dirty outfits. Classmates sometimes snap photos and tag the students on social media. I seen a few kids in the back of the class talk about one of the people in the front of the class and how they smelled and how their clothes looked dirty. Student Nasir Cameron told CNN affiliates WCBS. Cook heard the students talking too. He saw the post and quickly suspected that the bullying was a top reason why 85% of his students chronically miss school. These are kids, good kids who want to learn, that are missing 3 to 5 days a month because they were being bullied because they were dirty, Cook explained to CNN. I even changed the school uniform to darker colors so they could go more days without cleaning them. But even with that, students were struggling to have them look clean enough to attend. So 2 years ago, the principal applied for a grant from a foundation associated with one of Newark's main utility companies, PSE&G. He received $20,000 to turn an old football locker room into a school laundromat. A clean start to the school year. The renovations are now complete. The room has 5 washers, 5 dryers, and a growing stock of detergent donated from around the country. As the story has spread, we have been receiving packages of detergent at the school and through our Amazon wish list page. Nicole Daniel, the school's operating assistant, told CNN. School social worker Jamila Hammond told WCBS it feels good to know that they can help students who want to go to school but felt disgraced by their clothing. Many times a student may come in because they're embarrassed. They don't look the same. Somebody complaining about a body odor, I would say, okay, baby. Then we're going to have to do it the old way. We have soap, we have water. But now with this laundry room, we don't have to do that, Daniel said. The room is open to students free of charge between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. An adult supervisor keeps an eye out during those hours and helps pass on the important life skills of being self-reliant. 1 scoop of detergent and 1 measure of dignity at a time. We're trying to teach them to navigate their pride. Cook said, my kids are fighters. They just need good ways to fight for themselves and then take pride in what they can do. I don't know why this thing keeps switching like that, so we're back, right? So we see a brother who is the principal of a New Jersey high school. They called West Side High in New Jersey. And the principal name is Akbar Cook. Now, originally when I seen this story, I was under the impression that I thought it was like an elementary school, right? Because of the language that was said when I heard that the brother said, "That is my babies," right? I kind of was like, okay, but once I realized the high school, okay, I can understand the endearment, right? But okay, they're high schoolers, right? These my kids, right? You know what I'm saying? They're young adults, so you want them to develop, right? So okay, that's his endearment term that he used, right? So I'm not going to knock it. I thought that was let's say elementary, not high school. But anyway, I saw the story and I was like, well, we have to show positivity when positivity is to be shown. And, we have certain people who are in the black corner of the internet. They have been talking about getting themselves a school, right? And have a lot of ideals and being a principal and formulate his own school. And, there's a lot of things going on there as to whether this is legitimate or not. That's here and there said. That's not for me. That's for those, again, of you observing. Again, but I'm just saying this is kind of like, I think that was the idea this individual wants to do. But this individual here is actually doing it. But again, I looked at this and I did a little research and I come to find out that this is a public high school. So it's kind of like, well, you know, there is certain money that should be allocated out of the budget, right? That should be going to the school. The school looked like it only enrolls maybe I think it said in 2015-16 it was about 312. So it's not like a real big high school, right? It's not really a real big high school. But, I mean, the ratio, I think, for teachers are 8-to-1, right? So, you know, that's a good ratio when you think about a teacher being able to only have 8 students those who may be a little bit inadequate or, you know, may slow. So the teacher can, you know, spend time in those and you know, have that on hands. Then some, like if you come out of certain public school system, it could be 32-to-1. Like 30-to-1 in a classroom. You can understand why in these situations that a lot of us come up out of, you know, school, if you're not really astute, school was not like your forte of interest. Yeah, of course, you could doze off and get lackadaisical and, you know, daydream and, you know, be, you know, have your attention turned. You know what I'm saying? It don't take much, again, because look at the environment. Let's say, like here, this situation here, you have the brother decide that based on the fact that, you know, his awareness was to realize that, you know, students were getting into, let's say, a little altercation of thing. You know, again, we all been here, right? You know how it is, especially in high school. It's about, you know, it's about making a name, right? You know, about you trying to have, you know, good rapport, good reputation. You know, it's a few things that could just change that, and that could be with you for life. You know, for life, right? You know, you get nicknames that end up sticking for you for life. You end up getting situations that may tarnish your reputation, right? Or it can enhance your reputation. So one aspect about being in high school, you know, again, black people, as we are just people, again, because we come from, you know, the most richest and let's say the most resourceful country or continent on the planet. So if we say diamonds was nothing but rocks and gold was just a rock to us, so then when we now, you know, we know how to adorn ourselves in it. So again, we become very fashionable. We know about cloth and all that good stuff. So when we have champagne taste, we just got a lot of water money. And so just depending on what cards you was dealt in the hand of poker, is kind of family you got, whether you got a family that, you know, even have a lineage that has been tied to education and having economics versus those who struggled. Again, as we go into the show more, we're going to look at that aspect about how those, again, we come from the lineage of ADOS, BADOS, and DOS, and how we have been disenfranchised about garnering any aspects of some of this American dream, right? And so this principal took it upon himself to recognize the situation. Somehow he ended up getting about $20,000 when we took out the football locker, the old locker room, and turned that into a facility for a laundromat. But about 5 or 6 wash and dryers in each and there, and allowed them to come down there between a lot of time. And, you know, that can, you know, change the confidence of individuals. Yes, it might be a little embarrassing, as you heard the little shorty there, right? Shorty was like, you know, at first I don't want to call my bag clothes, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, Mr. Cook, you know, like, don't worry about it, you know, it's all good, you know what I'm saying? See, that's why it's good to have teachers and faculty members who are upcut from the same people. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with having diversity if that is the preference of the individuals. Again, can other people teach you? That's possible. Because, again, we never know where the mindset of where they're coming from. Because, see, that could be a hidden clandestine agenda that a lot of us have realized now, that sometimes we've been in these school systems and they had people of other ethnicities as our teacher, and they have an agenda because they could have bias in them. They could have, you know, be racial towards you. So I've had many teachers, just thinking about it myself, who used to tell us, I didn't care if y'all didn't learn because I get my check anyway. Now, I need to say that again. Teachers, I didn't say teacher, I said teachers have said, I didn't care if you didn't learn because I'm going to get my check anyway. So if you have that that's your attitude to tell your students directly like that, because you know how it is. A lot of people coming from dysfunctional situations. Again, as you heard Brother Akbar Cook say, that a lot of these are raising their own siblings where the parents either have to work or incapacitated to be able to be functional enough that maybe they got other vices and things that keep them from being, adequate parents. And so a lot of them are raising them. And so, it takes on a lot of responsibilities. And so what ends up happening is, that has an effect on people. So when, they got problems, nobody to, go and to give them the right counsel. Because again, you could be with your own people, right? A lot of people do, like what people talk about the streets. And, the organization and the movement and how that game play, yes, you're going to get the right rules and regulation. Otherwise, that's life and death. But some of that stuff is not transferable as into some things when it's just being part of the system. It doesn't make, not, but I'm just saying, just sometimes it's not transferable. And so you lack certain aspects of things, right? And so you don't know how to really, understand how to solve that. And so your frustration comes out. And so you have, again, like I said, the ratio could be in a lot of public school systems be 30-1. So here it is. You might be a teacher in a classroom. You might be a good teacher. You might be a teacher who really trying to really bring the best out. Because really, isn't that all that what that is? Education means to bring out. It's already in you. So what it is to bring it out of you. And so what end up happening is a good teacher in an environment that has a lot of elements. 4, 5, 6, 7 people unruly, dysfunctional, disrupts everybody else. It's hard for you to try to go ahead and do the lessons and try to get this to inculcate in them, because now you also have to be a counselor, a psychologist. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a whole lot of things other than just focusing on just the lessons. And so that can be very disruptive. That can cause a lot of, turmoil, and it's prohibiting other people who are there to try to get what they can out of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard environment. And so there's people who are outside of this, who live in your comfortabilities of your suburbs and your tax-funded schools, when we live in dilapidated, funded schools with, outdated sources for the material, then of course you're going to have a lot of this element in this environment. It's only natural, right? It would only be natural for that to take place. And so we see that this brother here has taken upon himself that, again, this is a public school, but he did something that he felt like that this here could help, because again, as he said, he talked about before raising the SAT scores. First one we do is we do some things. Again, we're talking about tangibles. Give people something that they can use, that can be utilized, that can bring about some change in them, that can give them, some self-awareness, self-confidence, right? To be equal. Because again, like I said, when you're in high school, it's about reputation. And so if you come in there, your clothes ain't up to par, because, again, we got champagne taste. And again, being young, not really understanding how the history and how the simple fact that how we got in this position and how the disparity is between the economics, that you don't look down upon your brother and sister, because yes, you might be having some that, again, but you don't look down. But see, a lot of that got, a lot of that teaching and lessons somehow got cut out. And so now that's why I think that one of the reasons why a lot of schools end up start using uniforms is because, again, then it allowed everybody to be as one when it came to that, to take away that as an aspect, right? But when you allow people to come in there, based on their economic stability from coming from home, it's a disparity. Some people, again, they coming out of where they have school. I remember when we were coming up, beginning of the school year, everybody want to come to school with, brand new stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? So somebody came back, they got on their old stuff from last year. You laughing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But we're not understanding why we in the condition we in. So this brother here is to be commended, and that's why I'm giving it today, this Akbar Cook, is because he decided that also that he brought in, that he allowed them to come in called Programs of Lights, where, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So again, let's just think about a place for refuge. Again, you may have, living in an environment where there's a lot of people there, right? And so you don't have time to get a peace of mind. You want a place to study or just, relax and be in a comfortable or a better environment. He allowed his school to be open after 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And when you think about that, that's something like you think that churches would be doing. Remember, we got a lot of churches in our communities. But it seems like the churches, if the church ain't about getting no money out your ass, then the church ain't really open for you or the community, right? And so here's this brother who's doing something and that he opens the door, right, and allowing this to manifest. And again, this is a good thing. So it's incumbent that, again, those, when we talk about giving back, start getting ourselves and putting ourselves in certain positions to do things like this brother is doing, right? And that would be positive. It would be something, again, in the best interest for us in the long term. And so again, I just want to bring some light to this brother and what he is doing. And, that's just what it is, right? And we'll commend him for that. And hopefully, that, that spreads and that seed and it, manifests in other aspects of other endeavors that we are trying to do. All right. So I got that off, right? Yeah, I think Mr. Blow Your Mind would go there, but I go there. You know what I'm saying? I love black folks. I love being black. You understand? And you should be loving being black too. Right? Yes, we go through struggles. But again, you understand? Do you know what a metal has to go through the fire to find out what at the end of the process, what type of metal you are made. And I'll be damned if we ain't the best type that's ever to be produced when it's all said and done. You hear what I'm saying? So, all right. So let's get on to the next part of the show here. Now, this one here, I'm going to say this here, right? Now, let's say that the same situation we seeing here, right? Like, here's the individual, Akbar Cook, got a school, right? And he's trying to, implement something that could be, again, it changes lives. It changes the mindset, right? It makes a person feel good just to even have, clean clothes, right? Now, you may not have the best of clothes, but at least they clean. At least it's, you ain't got to worry about that. Like they were saying, somebody talking about body odor and all that, we do it the old soap, the old way, get some soap and water and we're going to wash it. You came from where I came from, sometimes you got that bar soap and got up in that tub and you washed that shirt with that bar soap and got it clean. You understand? Socks, you know what I'm saying? Get the old bucket, you know what I'm saying? Now, see, some of y'all too bougie. You don't know what I'm talking about, right? You bougie. I'm from there. I ain't gonna tell you about I heard. I'm gonna tell you what I know, right? And so, just something like that changes the whole thing. It's now when you don't even have soap to do that, you know what I'm saying? And then it's just kind of like, again, you know what I'm saying? It brings, it's a temperament, right? It's a state of mind, right? So, here's a situation I've seen, and I'm like, okay, this here, I'm looking at this as there's another way to look at this, as again the environments that we're coming out of, right? And so when dog eating dog, meaning the best of the best, are fighting for the scraps. Like I say, there's only so many opportunities in the environments that a lot of us origin from, maybe still in, right? And so competition is to be the best of the best. That's why black people, I believe, the environments of the high, where they talk about rates of mortality and all that stuff is because, let's just say God is fighting God, right? So what God is better than the other God, and only one God can stand, right? It's kind of like Highlander. Remember the old show coming up? There could only be one, right? There can only be one, right? And so that's what happens. And so when you are not at that level, right? Let's say again, see, like I said before, when we talked about the Michael Jordans again, even though some people may not like him on his personal aspect, but they can, we as black people will respect the God gift in you. And so when you recognize in you that you don't have the elite of the God gift, right? Is there other ways that you can use to really try to like facilitate yourself to reinvent yourself, right? And there's other ways that, let's say, if you were a young man coming up out the spots and you say, damn, man, Derrick Rose better than me. Michael Johnson can run faster than me, right? So maybe you found a new way to do something. What you talking about, Mr. Blow? Well, check this out right quick, man. Y'all check this out. And let's see. Well, I want to do this. Let me give y'all this and this first. You know, I got to get my PSA right. For those y'all sitting on your hand, you know, you gotta let me hold this. I'm a man out there with a cup in my hand. So let me hold something and check this out and be right back right after that. Check this out, y'all.
Explore the topic of transgender athletes in high school sports. It's a difficult balance between the rights of transgender individuals to compete and the rights of others to compete on an equal playing field. Here's correspondent Jackie Heinrich.
High school runners are going toe-to-toe this weekend at the New England Regional Championships in Boston, a chance to get in front of college coaches and maybe even earn a scholarship. But Connecticut junior Selena Soule won't be competing in the 55-meter dash. She was edged out of the top 6 spots in part by 2 transgender runners, Andrea Yearwood and Terry Miller, both male at birth, now identifying as female. Terry set a girls' state indoor record. Andrea came in second.
It's frustrating and in a way demoralizing when you're at the start line of a race and you know what the outcome of the race is before it even happens.
Medical physicist Joanna Harper, who's also a transgender runner, says high school athletes like Selena can face unfair competition from trans girls. It comes down to whether trans athletes have undergone hormone therapy.
Before these athletes get on hormones, then they have all of the athletic capabilities of men.
But high school athletics aren't governed by a single set of rules, making regional competitions a gray area. According to transathlete.com, Connecticut is one of 18 states that allow transgender athletes to compete without restrictions. 17 states review individuals case by case, and 9 states require surgery or hormone treatment. 6 states have no policy at all. Part of the challenge is age. College students and Olympians must undergo a year of hormone therapy to compete as trans athletes, but most teens don't begin hormone therapy until after puberty. Civil rights are also a concern. Hudson Taylor is the founder of Athlete Ally, a nonprofit LGBTQ athletic advocacy group.
Any pathway that separates or divides or segregates trans athletes into a different category is separate and is not equal and is not fair.
Advocates say rules for pro athletes are one thing, but a lot of high schoolers join teams to have fun, and transgender teens shouldn't be denied those same positive experiences. Shannon.
All right, Jackie, thank you very much.
Martina Navratilova apologizes for transgender cheating comments. You know I'm going to say that again. Martina Navratilova apologizes for transgender cheating comments. This story was done back in March 4th, 2019, coming from CNN Sports. This is how it reads. Martina Navratilova may have apologized for using the term cheating when describing transgender athletes, but the issue received further attention over the weekend with former UK Olympic swimmer Sharon Davies saying trans women had unfair physical advantages. In a lengthy blog post Sunday, former tennis star Navratilova said she had stumbled into a hornet's nest and believed labeled as transphobic after speaking about the subject in recent months. While she said she was sorry for suggesting that transgender athletes in general are cheats, she also added that there was no perfect solution to this issue and that if everyone were included, women's sports as we know it then would cease to exist. Navratilova wrote, I know I don't have all the answers. I don't think there is a definite answer here. That is why I want a debate, a conversation that includes everyone and is based, as I have said, not on feelings or emotion, but science, objectivity, in the best interest of women's sports as a whole. Needless to say, I have always and will always be a champion of democracy, equal rights, human rights, and full protection under the law for everyone. When I talk about sports and rules that must be fair, I am not trying to exclude trans people from living a full, healthy life. And I am certainly not advocating violence against trans people, as has been suggested. All I'm trying to do is to make sure girls and women who were born females are competing on as a level of playing field as possible within their sports. Insane and cheating. The 18-time Grand Slam champion wrote in the Sunday's Time last month that it was insane and cheating that hundreds of athletes who have changed gender by declaration and limited hormone treatment have already achieved honors as women that were beyond their capabilities as men. Those comments were labeled transphobic by trans right group Transactual, which tweeted at the time, if trans women had an advantage in sports, why aren't trans women winning gold medals left, right, and center? According to the current rules issued by the International Olympics Committee in 2016, trans men are allowed to compete without restrictions. Trans women, however, must show that their testosterone levels have been below a certain level for at least 12 months before their first competition. Navratilova has long spoken out for gay athletes and suffered abuses when she came out while she was still playing professional tennis. Her comments on transgender athletes saw Athlete Ally, a U.S.-based organization that speaks up for LGBT athletes, cut its links with the tennis star. However, former swimmer Davies told the BBC Saturday that trans athletes should not be allowed to compete in female competition to protect women's sports. It is not a transphobic thing. I really want to say we have no issue with people who are transgender, Davies said. Every single woman athlete I've spoken to, and I have spoken to many, all of my friends in the international sports understand and feel the same way as me, she added. We need to come up with something that works for everybody and everybody agrees with me, rather than having all sorts of diverse rules. We need to come up with a unified set of rules that is clear, concise, and fair. Davies' comments followed a tweet post Friday where she stated she believes there is a fundamental difference between the binary sex you are born with and the gender you may identify as. To protect women's sports, those with a male sex advantage should not be able to compete in women's sports, she wrote. Rachel McKinnon, the first transgender woman to win a world track cycling title, responded by stating Davies was a transphobe. There is no debate to be had over whether trans women athletes have an unfair advantage. It is clear that they don't, she wrote in a tweet. Since the November 2003 IOC policies openly allowing trans women to compete, not a single trans athlete has even qualified for the Olympics, let alone won a medal. This remains true even after the November 2015 IOC policy making it easier for trans women to compete. No trans woman has won an elite world championship medal. The fear that trans women will suddenly take over sports is irrational, which is the very definition of transphobia, McKinnon added. All right, so we're back, right? So we're talking about trans athletes in high school sports, right? And they said this is a difficult dilemma that to compete on an even playing field. Well, I guess if this is the way you're trying to make society bend towards, then I guess it's all fair and playing war, right? Now, again, some people say this is the natural evolution of existence, I guess you can't say it, right? And that certain people are what they consider born in the wrong body. So they say, inside in my mind, I feel like I'm this while my body's saying that, right? And so what society has done now is to allow you to determine that God, the creator, right, the creative universe was wrong, put you in the wrong body. And so now you have self-determined what you feel you are. And so this has now become part of legal, right? Part of the, statutes now, right? And so if this has become an accepting aspect of those who accept that as part of the normalcy of life, then you can't complain, right? But we're seeing that, again, as in this video showed here, there was a New England meet that was going to get the top track, athletes for females, or maybe it was all genders, right? And, get the scouts out there so they can get scholarships, right? So what you're seeing there, right, is there was this one, again, let's see, let's do this. Let me go ahead. Let me go and do this today. Right? So we're gonna do it this way. Let me show you who it was first, right? So you can get a chance to see that, right? So you seen there, right? You seen when she was there with her mom, right? Her name is Selena Soul, right? And Selena Soul was like, as you can see in the picture there, it says all-state. Now, wherever she came from in the state, she was an all-state track runner, right? And, she got to the meet and ended up not qualifying due to the simple fact that she ran up against Andre and Terry. Oh, my fault, not Andre, I'm Andrea. And Terry... I guess there's Terry with a Y as a boy and Terry with an I as a girl, right? So she ran up against Andrea and Terry. And you heard her say, well, we get up to the line and we see they finna run. We automatically know we finna lose. Right? So we ain't got shot in motherfucking hell run against these Myra DeVilos. Right? Remember over there from what is it called, A Living Color? Remember Jim Carrey playing Myra DeVilo? Oh, remember that, right? And so that's what they are. They kind of, born biologically as men or boys who have self-identified as females. Now, let me show you what Cherry, Andre and Cherry look, right? Let me go ahead and show you the Andre and Cherry, what they look like, right? Just in case you might have seen it and get a good look. Let me go ahead and show you. See, look at that. Andre and Cherry, right? Look at that. Girls back there struggling, huh? Ain't got shot in the world against no boys, huh? Right? Ain't got no shot in high school. I guess this is high school, right? They ain't got shot, right? I'm not saying that there's not females out here. No, all right, let me say this right now, because I got track running in my family too, and there's some females of mine that they could run. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they could beat some dudes. There's just some dude. Again, that's how I'm going. This is how I'm saying what I believe is going to be a new path avenue that some people might be looking at. Because again, as the story talked about and as the article talked about, that again, to start getting this self-identity, it starts about with puberty. Now again, here you is, you know, I still kind of don't understand how somebody at that age is thinking sexually anyway as into preference, when you already trying to worry about, you know, friends and going to school, right? I guess you do get the point where you, again, they more faster. You know, back in the old days, we say fast. They faster today because they have more privilege to information, accessibility to stuff that maybe was a little bit hidden to other folks, right? So I guess you could be a little bit more faster today. So maybe you thinking about certain aspects and you liking people already, and they already have these clandestine ways of teaching sex education and this kind of lifestyle, right? So I guess you could be what they say by curious, right? They already planted the seed in one's mind. And so what we see here is Andre and Terry done already got it to the fact that they want to be athletes. So I'm saying, as I was saying prior before we get it started on this segment here, you know, again, when you come out of where we come from and we compete the way we do, some of you got to kneel to Zark. I told Superman to kneel to Zark, right? Because he had the kryptonite, right? You kneel to Zark, baby. I got the power. And so when we compete with each other, we know who's more better, who more skilled, who got better gift than we do. So when you don't have no alternative, I guess this could be an alternative, right? Think about what I'm saying, y'all. Somebody can have the grandiose idea and let's say, it'd be better if I don't got a problem with everybody trying to think that, you know, thinking what in the world, I'm a man or a girl, but I ain't get a college scholarship. Because, you know, we coming out of a situation where we ain't got money for college. So if you can't compete on the natural limb, this is you know what I'm saying? This is like Joanna Man, right? We're going to do some Joanna Man-ness, jumping down here. I know I could dominate y'all because y'all females in me. And again, this is no punch to females. But again, look at what they talking about here. There is an advantage being a transgender girl, right? Who don't take the hormones to do what? To take the testosterone out your ass. So wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. All right, well, before I go to that, let me show. Let me get to, because they show. Now, here was the white girl was complaining. Now, look, I can't even compete. Look who I got to run against. I don't think this is fair, right? So, you know, the news, what they did is they showed them 3 times, right? They showed them close up, right? They showed you originally that one, right? Then they did another one. They did another one like that to say, look, what the fuck is that, right? That subliminally, this is what they saying. Now, what the fuck is this? Look at that. And they got, see the white girl to the right of it, she's struggling. Yeah, another sister, but you know, she don't look like she was ready for that. But look at them, right? Right? And then they even gave an even closer look, right? They even did an even closer look, right? Right? Look at that. And they said, they considered to be girls, right? They decide to say they girl, and they finna go to school on scholarship, all that, right? So they said that shit ain't fair, right? That shit ain't fair. So they went and got an old one, and if you didn't hear the other one, right? They went and got that one. What the name? I think it was Joanne Harper, right? So they went and got Joanne Harper, who is a trans, just like you seen Andrea and Terry, right? But this is an older one, and I did that back in the day. And that one said that transgenders, she said, yes, they have an unfair advantage from trans girls because it comes down to whether if they have had the hormone therapy. Now, again, listen to this, y'all. Listen to that. So, you mean that self-identifying yourself is not good enough, right? But again, aren't you saying that if somebody self-identified themselves as a young boy is now saying he's identified himself as a girl, that he has to go through some altering aspects to make sure that he is now female? Then wait a minute. So then that can't be natural in no form or fashion or way. Your mindset can't be straight, and you have to be chemically induced to get the outcome of that. So is this more of a preference than it is just really, you understand? Is this a preference? Right? And so to back that up is this. Y'all ever heard of this chemical called atrazine? I think I did the video some time back called atrazine, right? Atrazine is what they said they were putting in the water, right? And accordingly, there's a brother that was out here. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. But he did the studies, and it came to find out again with frogs. Again, every time you do some study, and I always say the same thing with melanin, how they had to come up with that lightening cream, or how the skin cream came with sour frogs, right? Same thing. So atrazine in the water, what it did is it shrank and made the frogs who were male become female. They start liking the same sex. So people are saying, well, maybe this atrazine, which they got in the water, is chemically inducing people who are, a lot of this effeminate, especially when it comes to our men, because again, think about it from a demographic standpoint, that if all of us are in let's say a South, right? Let's say the South of a city that they put us all in the South. So if you in the South and let's say you got miles and miles of just black people, square footage, miles of black folk, all we got to do is be able to connect and put this shit in the pipes that go into where you drink out your water, and you're getting that shit acclimated as well as we're distributing that shit into your goddamn stoves, right? Bottled water and everything else, because all that shit come off trucks, distribution centers, right? Coming from places with designation to go to certain destinations, right? So, okay, so that can't be far-fetched then. The atrazine can't be far-fetched because you're saying that Adria and Terry to be recognized as transgender girls, there's also a therapy that has to go along with hormone therapy, which is to reduce the testosterone in you to make you more feminine. They done told on they self. You understand? They done told on their damn self. So I'm saying, I believe, and you know why they say a lot of, I think some people, again, not to be able to deal with all the aspect of the racial tension and the hate and being black, I think some people think it would be better for them to be homosexuals, gay, LGBT, than to be heterosexual, because the life is much harder. And look at the benefits if somebody like a Andre and Terry, now I'm not saying whether this is what I'm just saying in a hypothetical sense that they do this. as there's a benefit. And this is what you see these white folks complaining about, right? They like, this shit ain't fair. This shit is not fair that we got to go against that, right? So you see that the policies in school, they vary in policies, right? They show that, like, in certain schools, when you look at it, according to the map, no medical hormones needed in the gray areas. If you look at, the green areas. If you look at the green areas, most of that is like what a lot of white folks said, right? A lot of white folks in the green area: Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, California. Okay. And then you got Washington, right? And then it's in the yellow areas, it's case by case. Now those are the ones, again. Look at Oregon. You're gonna have some Negroes up in Oregon, and you know that Oregon they never wanted no Negroes, no niggas up there, right? But niggas up there any goddamn way, right? So you look in the areas of the, but then when you look in the red areas, right? Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, North Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, they require birth certificate, right? Or your ass had to have the surgery, or your ass had to be on a hormone wait list that your shit coming up, right? And then there's, where certain states, there's like, I think it's like 6 states where it says they don't have none at all. That would be like Mississippi and them, right? I think it said in the article, it talked about Mississippi, Tennessee, South Carolina, and West Virginia. Like, though, okay, well, we know why. The old Bible Belt, they ain't playing that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't playing that. So, again, is it an avenue? And so what's going to end up happening, you see that Maria Navratilova came out, said that shit is cheating. Why? Because I bet you mugs gonna decide that's the avenue I'm gonna take, right? I'm gonna take my ass and be a female and become all that I couldn't be as a man. See, that's an option for people who disenfranchised and got all kind of other railroad blocks and glass ceilings. Why would you not take that? Right? And still might like women. Now, see, the thing is, when they force you to take that surgery, you're going to have a problem, right? So we see that, was that Navratilova, right? Matter of fact, going back to that girl, that Selena Soul, she said it's frustrating and demoral. It's demoring when you are at the start of the line of a race and you already know the outcome before the race even starts. Because why? I'm running against these young Negroes. These young Negro boys, there's no goddamn, I can't outrun them. You understand? And so that's what's probably happening. Because again, those demographics are changing. It's starting to happen, right? And so why not? They you know what I'm saying? They're going to be athletic because they got the guys, they got melanin. So I guess a good way for me to get a scholarship is do this, right? And so they changing the whole dynamic of their sporting. That you had, again, Maria Navratilova. Again, she said shit like, she said if everyone were included, right, then the sports as we know it will cease for women. She said if you keep doing this, women's sport of those, again, they try to make the distinction between that which is born natural woman to that which becomes trans and becomes a woman, then what is that doing? That excluding the natural woman. Like the one they showed that, what was her name? That Joanna Harper was a man. Became a transgender and excelled in it. But again, you would think when they say woman, they say, Joanne Harper, but they're going to say, transgender. So is it an unfair aspect to it? They said, you never seen one go in the Olympics. That's because they said that they got to go a whole year under hormone. Right? So think about that. If there have not been none that went to the Olympics, then is this maybe an outlet that motherfuckers is using? Because that means if you take the shit for a whole year, you can't come back. You're going to lose everything that you got. And they know that advantage of having that will make them be better, superior to the natural female. They know this. Come on, we know. This ain't nothing about being male chauvinistic. There's just some things that men are built to do that women can compete and do, but based on the difference of structure of how we built, a man is going to be better than you. Yes, Lisa Leslie can dunk a ball, right? And then there's other sisters that you see, they can dunk a ball. But you can't do no Jordan shit. You can't do no Vince Carter shit. You get what I'm saying? That don't mean you can't do it, but you're not going to be able to do that shit. You understand? So, come on, man. So, is it cheating? Because again, they was also, some people be alluded to the fact that they say that, what's her name? The tennis, Serena Williams. A lot of white people be saying that she is, you know what I'm saying, and the whole thing with a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? Do I know? I don't know. We know that they had put people in front of us and said that they dated, but we was wondering why they didn't stick with them, and then you end up going on the other side. We don't know, right? It is what it is, right? So I'm just saying, is this a new avenue for young black men who decide, fuck it? Because the other night I was watching some videos and I ended up start watching some of the damn, it's the, let's say, I think it was Alabama State University. It was the marching band or dance squad. And they ended up doing some other shit and I seen a lot of Andrea and Terry's in there. And you understand? I was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? It used to be that's what was for that. But again, like the NFL hired two dudes that's now cheerleaders too. So, well, y'all just gonna have to get bumped. If this is the name of the game, and the game is they can play and be, boys can be women. Because they say, well, we don't worry about when it's a woman trying to get herself into a man. They ain't gonna be. All the testosterone in the world may not help you. You know what I'm saying? You can lift weights and get, get cut up and all that, but there's still going to be a different gear. It's just something, a different gear. And that's what the creator made. But see, these people here, this Frankenstein shit is making people all fucked up. And this whole place is getting all confused and fucked up. And, you know what I'm saying, pretty soon, you're going to be like, what in the world? Is that a man or a girl? You ain't going to be able to tell. Because surgery, testosterone, all that shit, you ain't gonna be able to tell. And this shit is just gonna just murking. Again, they talking about gray area. You ain't gonna be able to know what area. So, moving on, man. Moving the fuck on. I mean, that's wild shit there, right? Let's see. Let me. Now, this here is some even wilder shit, right? There's some even wilder shit. When I seen this story here, I was like, okay, this is in the realm of this here, right? And this is why, I set it up in the way I do it, right? Because it fits what's being done here, right? It's fitting. Because when I seen this, I was like, damn, really? Motherfucker doing that? Like, don't do that, man. Like, no, man, not like that. So let me show what I'm talking about. Check that. But then there's something in here that I got to show y'all that some people probably not even talked about. There's another dynamic in here. Now my thing is, does it change? Well, what the hell going on? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Something going on over here. Hold on. What's going on over here? I'm about to play something I wasn't supposed to. You ain't supposed to play that shit. What's wrong with you? Okay. You know what I'm saying? It isn't. Hold on. What's going on, man? I mean, man. Hold on. Let me go up here. Push this up here. Right. Put that here. 1 second, y'all. Because every time I be doing something, it seems like you want to do all this other shit all of a sudden. All right. And because I seen this story here, man. And this story been out for a little bit now. But then I read the other day, like I told you, sometimes I don't come right out. The reason I don't come right out is because, you got to let the story marinate a little bit. Because you're going to get some more stuff that they didn't really tell you the other time. All right. So let me do this. And we shall do this and be right back.
citizen savagely attacked.
I am lost for words.
That is foul. Are you kidding me?
Today, the NYPD's chief of detectives said the search is on for this suspect. Subway riders captured the moment he kicked a 78-year-old woman in the face. Over and over.
World star that, man.
It was Sunday, March 10th at 3 in the morning, the 238th Street station on the 2 and 5 lines in the Bronx. Police say as the 2 train pulled in, a man approached the woman and attacked. She raises her arm, trying to block the blows.
Wait, in New York?
Yeah, at this subway station.
I can't even imagine. I have grandmothers, I respect women, I was raised by women.
That could have been me. On the video, you hear the voices of several riders and even see another passenger recording, but no one steps in to help. The man is able to get away right after the attack. Do you think there's anything that other people can do in a situation like that?
I would have challenged him, trust me. I'm an ex-military man, and I would have confronted him.
I would have stopped it.
It's better if you would actually make a phone call to 911 rather than simply tape.
Frank Traynor spent 15 years as an NYPD officer. He understands fear may stop some riders from stepping in when they see someone is being hurt. Traynor says if you want to help, it's important to first assess the situation.
You never know what sort of criminal you're dealing with, or even if you're dealing with a mentally disturbed person. So people should intervene with caution.
A rider did finally ask for help once that train finally pulled into the last subway station, and that 78-year-old woman, she did receive some medical attention. Police are now hoping to interview her to gain some insight as to what happened leading up to the video. Reporting live from the Wakefield section of the Bronx tonight, Ayana Harry, Pix 11 News.
36-year-old Mark Gomez of Yonkers kept his head bowed low and didn't answer any questions about the heinous attack he is now charged with, allegedly kicking a 78-year-old woman repeatedly in the head and body that was captured on cell phone video for all the world to see. Police thanked the worldwide community for what they called their tremendous assistance in helping to capture the man seen in this video attacking an elderly woman in a subway car. The horrendous assault took place on Sunday, March 10th at about 3:10 in the morning on the number 2 train at the Nereid Avenue White Plains Road subway station. It was all captured on cell phone video. So disturbing to see a man kicking a 78-year-old woman a total of 6 times, twice in the head, 4 times in the upper body. Police say no one called 911 or tried to stop the attack, but you can hear on the video several people oohing and aahing. Before the suspect got off the subway, he shouted, "World star that," referring to the popular social media page filled with violent videos. And then he got off the train. In the court of public opinion, subway riders were outraged that no one stepped in to stop the attack or call police.
That's not right what the person is doing to her. She's old and she need help, and everybody sit there just looking someone is beating her up. It could be me.
If I see something like that, I call police right away, no question about it. I'm not afraid of nobody.
I have grandmothers, I respect women, I was raised by women.
That could have been me.
The charges against Mark Gomez, 2 counts of assault in the 2nd degree, 1 count of assault in the 3rd degree, and 1 of harassment. Police tweeted that the victim was treated and released from the hospital and that she is getting the care, support, and advocacy that she needs. We are live in the Morrisania section of the Bronx. McGee, Hickey, Pix 11 News. Back to you, Katie.
I'm glad to hear that, but incredible that she got no support on that subway from anybody. That was terrible. McGee, thank you.
Restaurant dishwasher accused of kicking an elderly woman 6 times in the face on the subway. A shocking video had his arrest set up by his co-workers as he was taken away in his kitchen uniform. You know I'm going to say that again. Restaurant dishwasher accused of kicking an elderly woman 6 times in the face on the subway. A shocking video had his arrest set up by his co-workers, and he was taken away in his kitchen uniform. This story was done in the Daily Mail, March the 25th, 2019, and this is how it reads. The New York restaurant dishwasher, who was arrested for assaulting an elderly woman riding the subway, was handed over to police by his own co-workers. Mark Gomez, 36, was arrested on Saturday for repeatedly punching and kicking a 78-year-old woman riding a Bronx train on March 10th, an attack all caught on video. Footage of the vicious assault was shared by police this weekend and racked up 13 million views in an attempt to identify him. Gomez worked as a dishwasher at the acclaimed Tribeca restaurant Frenchette and was immediately recognized in the viral video by his co-workers, leading the eatery's owner to call the cops. I called the police immediately and gave them his name and address, Frenchette co-owner Sean Cunningham said to the New York Post on Monday. We wanted to make sure we did everything the right way, and he was picked up as quickly as possible, he added. Police first went to Gomez's home address but didn't find him there. Then detectives arrived to the restaurant, which has been awarded the esteemed James Beard 2019 award, on Saturday morning to apprehend him while he was at work. Cunningham said that the entire restaurant worked carefully to make sure Gomez didn't expect a police ambush. There were not many staff in the kitchen at that time. He was one of the first there, and we made sure not to spook him, Cunningham said. Thanks to the staff employed, detectives were able to arrest Gomez without any trouble. The detectives arrested him in the kitchen dishwashing area and took him away, still wearing his kitchen whites, Cunningham said. Following the incident, Frenchette changed its hiring policy to amp up the background and reference check process for dishwashers, who typically don't undergo the same kind of background checks senior staffers go through. Cunningham added that Frenchette wants to extend a helping hand to the victim and a free meal. We are extremely worried about his victim, who we are told is a retired kindergarten teacher, and we would like to offer her any help we can. At the very least, a free meal at the restaurant. But we don't know how to contact her, so we are asking for the public's help, he said to the outlet. Gomez was apprehended on Saturday for the brutal assault on the elderly woman on the Bronx train earlier this month, but had a track record of prior assaults as well. He was arrested in November, stopped on the Cross Bronx Expressway by police who found a 12-gauge Mossberg shotgun plus ammo in his car, cops says. He also has old sealed arrests for assault, gun possession, and marijuana possession, source said to the Post. For the viral subway attack, he was charged with felony assault and was ordered to be held in lieu of $30,000 bail. Gomez's lawyer and fiancee, Asia, she has not released her last name, claimed that the elderly woman had been taunting him as he rode on the train with Asia and her young daughter. Asia says that she was riding the train with Gomez and her 11-year-old daughter when the woman started yelling at them, screaming, "I'll stab you and your wife and your child." When the stabbing threats escalated to killing, the couple saw the woman allegedly had something in her hand, leading Gomez to launch the assault. On Saturday, police announced Gomez's arrest and stated that the unidentified victim was treated for her injuries in a hospital and released and is receiving proper care. Former neighbor of the woman told the Post that she is mentally ill and has threatened 3 people in the past with a knife. They said she is a retired kindergarten teacher who had moved out of the residence 3 or 4 years ago. She was just mentally ill, they said. She wasn't paying rent. She threatened at least 3 co-operators with a knife. She used to call the fire department cops all the time. All right. I gave it to you because I know some people didn't catch that part. But again, this is Black Minds News. So what we have is a 36-year-old named Mark Gomez, right? A viral video. They hit about 13 million where you see old Gomez there. That Gomez got some Spanish in you, so he was pulling out his honchos and stomping a 78-year-old lady in front of everybody, right? And, again, as we were talking prior to, again, like having a Pope, people, I don't kiss my ring because you ain't deserving. A lot of people, y'all all messed up. I don't need you putting that on me. Then you see, a principal trying to help people due to the dysfunctionness. Then we have people who are saying they are transgender, but they still kind of male, right? So now we have somebody who would just be out here that looks like from Observant, right? From Observant, that he did the most unthinkable thing that most of us was like, what the fuck wrong with you, homie? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is this shit? Where do you see that kind of shit at? Right? And so from the video, everybody is shocked. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And, a lot of people said a lot of things as into like, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead and I'm a cold-cock homie, right? Knock his ass out, interfere. And I agree. You know what I'm saying? I agree. Interfere. Hey, man, what's wrong? What's up with that shit? Something, right? Not, ooh, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas is entertained with that shit. And, the lack thereof of respect that it seems, the generation aspect of it, right? Due to, again, the gap, the Hiroshima Nagasaki of the crack that just fell upon our communities, put the gap where grandma's raising the millennial. Right? So they either don't have Gen X in their life. Gen X either locked up dead or nowhere to be in life or whatever it might be. Right? So you got a gap. And so the disrespect that again, because they're not respecting that. And so, you know what I'm saying? You see that. Now, people seen it. Everybody had their take on it. They was disgusted about what they seen. Of course, who wouldn't be? Black people, this is not shit we do. Yes, there's a lot of fuck shit that go on in our communities and amongst our people. But, there's certain things. You don't fuck with the elders and you don't fuck with the kids, right? Everything else may have, again, according to the situation. But, again, there's the blurred lines that seem to be not there anymore, right? So, on observation of this video, we must say this shit is fucked up, right? But as that story went on, as you heard, I gave it to you, right? You see that, okay, based on the video, they set his ass up. His own, Sean Cunningham, his boss at the job where he worked at, I think the place was called, the Frenchette, right? He was a dishwasher there. And they set his ass up where he was apprehended at the job, right? They charged him with felony assault. But what was strange, again, wasn't there. Observation of the video tells you one aspect. There may be something else to it. But did you hear what his fiance, who supposedly had been present, what their daughter said? Did y'all hear that? She said, her name is Asia, said her as the boyfriend of Marco Gomez, who just happens to be a lawyer. I'm going to say that again. Did you hear in the story where it said that Mark Gomez was present with girlfriend whose name is Asia with 11-year-old daughter, and the story that Asia gave was that the elderly woman said things of threatening nature, that she was going to stab them, right? And said, I'm going to kill you. Now, am I saying that justifies it? Hell no, I'm not saying that. Because y'all should have just got y'all ass up and moved. You understand? Move. You ain't up on a train, up a crazy motherfucker right here. Move your, you know what I'm saying? Move your ass, move. Right? Sometimes sit next to the crazy motherfucker, start doing shit. Oh shit, let me get the fuck up from here. Before I fuck a nigga up or some shit. Right? All that kind of shit, right? So, that should have been one. Now, again, according to Asia, she said she had something in her hand, right? Now, let's say hypothetical that is the situation and that's the scenario. Does that justify what he did? See, now it puts you in a dilemma. Right? It puts you in the dilemma. Now, what I say is, let's say if Asia, you being a lawyer and you saying this and this can't be proven, you put all your shit, you know what I'm saying, poker, you all in. You put all in on this situation to save your man. Because what everybody seen was what they seen. Now, if that stuff that you said transpired, you better hope that whoever that was that did the video, because they actually, I think they starting to put the name of the people who did the videos now, they going to have to testify on behalf of what you just said, right? Because at the very, very end, I seen a little girl come out the door after he went out. Then it was like a little girl. So I was like, was that his little daughter or that was her daughter? You know, it could be a relationship. She got a daughter. That could be his daughter. Is that what happened? Now, again, that don't justify because you didn't have to do all that shit. Now, again, according to the lawyer, now, no lawyer know what to say, you know what I'm saying, trying to, make the situation so she had something in her hand. Like cops, right? You know, cops say, oh, yeah, he had something in the hand and that called me to, protect my square. I was, my life was in, right? I was being threatened. My life was being threatened, right? Now, with that being said and you hearing that, does that change anything how you look at it is the question, right? If you with your family and motherfucker do that shit, there's options you can do before you get to that level, right? One, let's get the fucking move. Asia said he was taunting. Now again, taunting don't justify you putting the honchos in her face 6 times. Now I didn't see no punching. Story said punching. I ain't seen no punching unless you got another video we ain't seen. But based on what we saw, I didn't see no punching. All I seen was, you know what I'm saying, he was, trying to step in the name of your face, right? That's what he was doing. Step in the name of your face, right? But anyway, so it's not a funny situation. Because again, it's fucked up. Now, what kind of gives some validation Not so much to what he did per se, because I don't think if there's any, he's still going to get, because again, he's initiating. Because again, unless there's the evidence to show that knife and all that, but there was something said in the story that said about neighbors. She done did that 3 times. Her MO is the knife. The MO is her knife. She always talking about cutting and stabbing a motherfucker, right? And they said she is did that, but she is known where she live at as neighbors, that she's always calling fire department, police, and all the time about stabbing a motherfucker. So now, with that being said, does that change the situation, or does it say you went too far with the shit? You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's get them out the way. Fuck it, her ass crazy. Let's get the fuck away from her. If you do that, then you kind of alleviate the situation where your ass don't have to get in confrontation and get physical. She just whooping and talking shit, right? But if you stay there and they get into it, right? Now, you have to say, you say in her hand, but did she get up to make a move to stab, and then you doing what you're doing? Maybe you might have a defense. But in that sense, you still wrong, because you didn't have to do that. Unless she went into attack mode. Now, if there's another video, and as this case draws out later on, them people that was there going to have to testify besides your woman, right? She got credibility because she is a lawyer, and hopefully she a lawyer in that state. And otherwise, you get and then the state going to have to use them that recorded to testify on behalf of the woman. You understand? So like I said, Asia is going to put all her shit chips on deck. She put all in, because that's going to test everything. Because if not, he's going up. You losing this bar. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit going to come in that. So let's just see as this plays out, because it was in the grossest, most sense of the term to even see black people doing it. And again, his name is Gomez, so you understand? So there's some other funny shit going on in there, and there's no knock to nobody, but I'm just saying there's some other shit going on in there. So that could mean, you know, psychologically, again, putting them honchos on. You ready to, you know what I'm saying, steel toe boot a motherfucker to death. You know what I'm saying? That Gomez shit, right? So I'm just saying, you tell me, does that change the situation? Because after I read that, I was like, damn, okay, that kind of changes the situation. Not what you did to condone it, but damn, what would you do to protect your family, right? In a situation. Does age come into play? You know what I'm saying? Does, you know, is there things that change the dynamic that you won't go beyond, right? And I believe that you probably could have still elude yourself from that situation if you tried to move, unless as you tried to move, she made a move. That might change the situation, right? That might change the situation. But again, as time goes on, this story will be developed, because again, it got a lot of national attention. And let's say that he find out that that's all true. Now, damn, my man John Cunningham set y'all up, you know what I'm saying? Now, being the boss of the job and you see that shit on the video, you gonna do what you do too. Like, this nigga wipe a hell time. You don't work here no goddamn more. But let me tell you something. Isn't it funny how they didn't have, not funny, isn't it tripped out that them motherfuckers gave him felonies and he just put the boots? Now, again, that's not condoning what he did. But what white man did to sister, El Day Janique? I still remember her name, boy. El Day Janique. When white boy did that shit, Sheffield, right? He ain't getting no felony. And he had a gun. See? Two sets of different laws in this shit, ain't it? Always, ain't it? So we're going to continue on this one as this develop, because again, that's why I brought that story out, because again, I didn't hear nobody say that, but somebody put the story and that's what had been said. So if that should be true, does that in your mind don't justify, but does it change the position that you look at him? You understand? Does that change? Or he a dirty, no good ass, rotten down scoundrel ass nigga, and you understand? whatever come? Or does the scenario or situation changes you based on knowing that? You put in the comment section, and we're going to move on to the next one.
If you wait on tax payments to come out of reparations, you're going to wait forever. It's not going to happen. So what you got to do, let me talk. Don't put that in my face.
Why are you touching me?
Okay, all right. I'm going to leave you alone.
Cut the check. Tell Nancy Pelosi to cut the check.
Yeah.
You do that for me?
The treasurer?
Cut the check. Somebody better cut the check. Well, reparations are owed, sir.
Talk to them.
ADOS, you're not going to run away from this issue, Congressman.
Oh, I'm not trying to run away from it.
It seems like you are. You're walking away right now.
Oh.
Cut the check, Congressman. Cut the check. ADOS, you're not going to walk away from this, Congressman. ADOS is everywhere. Cut the check.
You this morning, young man. You didn't get your breakfast on time. What is going on with you? You didn't get your breakfast on time.
I got plenty.
Top House Dem dismisses reparations as 2020 candidates endorse ideal. You know I'm going to say that again. Top House Dem dismisses reparations as 2020 candidates endorse ideal. This story was done March the 5th, 2019, coming from, it looks like, thehill.com. This is how this reads. House Majority Whip James Clyburn said that he takes issue with using reparations to lessen racial inequality as 2020 candidates have come out in favor of the ideal, the Post and Courier reported Tuesday. Clyburn, the highest-ranking African-American congressman, told the newspaper he thinks pure reparations would be impossible to implement. He also said he was opposed to opportunity zones, an idea promoted by Senator Tim Scott. He told the Post and Courier that this concept, giving tax incentives to developers who work in low-income neighborhoods, smoke and mirrors. The Hill has reached out to Clyburn's office for comment. Senator Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren, as well as former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro, said they support giving reparations to Black Americans who were affected by slavery. Senator Bernie Sanders, who is also running for the Democrat nomination, said he opposes the idea. The support for reparations among major candidates indicates a leftward shift since 2016. In that election, nominee Hillary Clinton did not express support for reparations. Former President Barack Obama also did not promote the idea. Black voters are expected to be a key demographic in the Democratic primary, and the crowded field of candidates are likely to fight hard to win the black votes. Sanders and former President Joe Biden, who has not announced a 2020 bid, appears to be leading the field in recent polls. He has placed third in a poll released Tuesday. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Wednesday that she supports studying the issues of reparations for slavery. An opportunity zone. An opportunity zone is a designation created by the Tax Cuts and Job Acts of 2017, allowing for certain investments in lower income areas to have tax advantages. The purpose of this program is to put capital to work that would otherwise be locked up due to the asset holder's unwillingness to trigger a capital gain tax. The zones were proposed by Senator Tim Scott and supported by Sean Parker's Economic Innovation Group. States may designate up to 25% of low-income census tracts as opportunity zones. An investor who realizes certain capital gain income may reinvest the capital gain in an opportunity fund within 180 days. In order to qualify, the opportunity fund needs to invest more than 90% of its assets in qualified opportunity zones, properties that is located in an opportunity zone. The property must be significantly improved, which means it must be in original use, or the basis of the property must be doubled of the basis of the non-land asset. Capital gain taxes are deferred for reinvestment into investments in these zones, and if the investment is held for 10 years, all capital gains on the new investments are waived. An investor will need to invest in an opportunity fund by the end of the 2019 in order to meet the 7-year holding period and be able to exclude 15% of the deferred capital tax or capital gain. An investor may exclude 10% of the deferred capital gain by investing in an opportunity fund by the end of 2021 in order to meet the 5-year holding period. The first opportunity zones were designated in April 2018. There are more than 8,764 zones in the 50 states and 5 U.S. possessions, including American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Prior to the laws allowing opportunity zones, an investor could defer capital gain taxes by trading one asset with another asset in the same asset class by using a Section 1031 exchange. Opportunity zones now allow an investor to defer capital gain taxes by trading one asset with another asset in a different asset class. All right, so we back. All right. So we see we have there the Congressman Whip, James Clyburn. And we see that somebody had been there and caught Mr. Clyburn coming across, moseying along. Kind of posed the question that the ADOS, BADOS, and DOS is trying to, put in the mouths of the candidates, right? So this individual here happened to just get across one of the highest ranking so-called congressmen coming from South Carolina. I think he's also a Democrat, right? And had posed a question to him about reparations. So we kind of got a little glimpse into the mind of where he was thinking. And so what we see that he says, he got caught picking his nose live right there. But, he said, but if you wait on tax expenses to come out for reparations, you're going to be waiting forever, right? And then he says that, now this is what you're going to have to do. This is what you're going to have to do. And at the time, he's like, well, move this camera. And as he touched Homie was like, what you touching me for? Just ignore that, man. Ignore that. See, if you would ignore that, we would have got something from him. You understand? You don't get an opportunity like that all day. You understand? Since he been in the game so long, right? And there was a period of time he was actually for it, right? But he has his reasons why he do what he do. I ain't condoning it. I'm just saying, you got a chance, and we all was able to see, and you got him right where he was going to say something, and because you got caught up in the fact of him touching you, which he looked at you like, okay, what kind of motherfucker is you? I'm done with this. You almost got me to say some shit I wouldn't even really want to impart, but since, you know, finally somebody walked across him and asked him that, he had something to give, and you blew it for a second. You understand? There was an opportunity that got wasted. So now all we can do now is just kind of like insinuate what may be, and then based on the record of things he done said. So that's where I'm going to go. But that who posed that video, I think you blew it. You understand? You blew that opportunity. Maybe it may come again in the near future. So let's just take what he said. He said if you wait on tax expenses, right, that's going to actually be paying for the reparation. He said they ain't going to never. Because, again, basically, white folks ain't finna pay black folks reparations if they can, you understand? If they can have a say so. That's why I said on the last video, so go back, I was like, this here ain't got nothing to, matter of fact, I'm going to pause on that. Because somebody going to say that, and then I'll come back and I'm going to reiterate this point that I'm talking about right here. I got another point to be made later. So, right, you hear the brother say, cut the check. And like, you know, he paused, he laughed, he go like, what? Like, cut the check. Get Nancy Pelosi, because she done co-signed, cut. He said, but she ain't treasurer. He's like, I don't care who it is. You get to cut the check. You know, he kind of tickled him, right? He tickled him saying, I can't say cut the check. You know what I'm saying? You know that's what it's all about. Black folks want the check. All that other stuff everybody talking about, I mean, don't get it twisted. We not looking at that. But based on studies, the data, black folks is in emergency room. Remember I said that analogy last time. You coming in the emergency room. Gunshot wounds everywhere. Blood profusely coming up out you. Right? And you ain't got time to be talking about name, address, if you got insurance. You need to go directly to surgery to try to, you know, either they're going to save you or you're going to die on the table. That's where the black folks is looking at the man. That's how real it is. You understand? That's why I'm doing it. That's how in desperate measures this situation has gotten. And so we look at the fact that he says that you seen them sister was like, you ain't had your breakfast. Yes. See, now understanding the seriousness, again, thinking that, again, what he's posing is something, everybody, y'all saying it, but the realness of that ain't, no. But see, again, there's an advocacy out here that is actually trying to put this and push it into the face and into the mouths. And as the story that I read, as the news story said, I'm going to tell you why we have let's say, we have a stance in that, right? We actually have a stance. And so it says, if you take the issues, right? Now I'm going to go to the article that where he said he takes an issue with using reparations to lessen racial inequalities. Now, wait a minute, hold on. He take issues with using reparations to lessen racial inequalities. That's the purpose for reparations. Reparations is to repair the inequalities that was created due to the injustices and that slavery and everything that was systematically set up by government impeded upon the life, again, of black Americans. So why would you say that you would, you got an issue with reparations less than it's to repair. It is to set places to remedy for the losses that had occurred. Right? So then he also says something to the fact like that he thinks pure reparations would be impossible to implement. Do we think that white folks would make you equal with them? Or do we believe that reparations will give us a place that we can take, you understand, like a starter kit, right? You know what I'm saying? Get the starter kit going. You got enough to get you started, and then again, use it and build accordingly, and then get to a certain thing, and then you build more from that to now try to catch up. Do we think that they will ever make it equivalent? Because they don't function to be equivalent. They can't function if we're even with them. So either you just saying that, or either you don't believe in that. And so when you say something to the fact that it is impossible, it's not that it's impossible. It's just that they're not going to make it like that. If it was to be, fruition. But the point is, if it's legitimate, right? It's not like that the request, the demand is not legitimate. And again, later on, I'm going to play something that, again, somebody else has said. Again, I'll make that point at that time. That's why I don't want to jump into that. So he also said he opposes what they call these opportunity zones, right? And I read you what the opportunity zones is. Basically, what you see that opportunity zones is they're going to allow white folks who already got money, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be black folks, right? They're going to allow them to come in, reinvest in those areas that they have designated that they call in opportunity zones, to invest their monies to rehab and rebuild, right? And for a allotted period of time, they will actually be able to defer, their taxes, right? There's tax incentives in this, right? As you heard, it talked about the 1031 exchange, right? So this got a lot to do with that tax code. And what it's talking about, gain deferral, partial forgiveness, where it talks about forgiveness of conditional gains and things of that nature, right? So that is lucrative in the sense, if you understand how that game goes, a lot of white folks is going to make a lot of money off of these so-called opportunity zone. Now, I agree with James Clyburn when he says that that's smoke and mirror, right? It looks as if like you trying to do some good for black folks in those communities when we know, let's keep it 100. The areas that black folks live in is not like it's plighted due to the lack of the people who own it don't have money that are owned by black folks. These areas are owned by white folks with just black people communities that they just don't put no money invest in and reallocate the taxes into the communities they live in. So now you're going to say we're going to get white folks to come in and invest in the communities, putting in businesses, stores, buying up properties, and, you know what I'm saying, reinvesting it, right? But it's already your community anyway. It's just black folks as being the ones renting. Now, there are black folks who do own homes. We're not saying they don't. But what I'm saying is it's already white ownership in the lands that, in the properties that black people live in anyway, right? So, again, it looks like this is some way to funnel it again to get some more, again, what they say, rejustification. And once they build it up, are you going to be able to afford again? I mean, you talking about jobs. I mean, people going to get relocated. Not everybody going to be able to benefit of it, right? Yeah, again, it looked like it's, again, that's why I said smoke and mirror. It's going to be benefiting those who already got money, right? So this wouldn't be good, as James Clyburn had said, right? And then they were talking about qualified opportunity zone. There's certain areas that they got to qualify, but all that stuff has already been done. That stuff already gone back. You try to go see the maps, you can't even see them. They show there, but you don't actually get to see what it is. And they've done it already in all 50 states. that all of them have already submitted where the designated. So my thing is this: if you already know where the designated areas that are blighted, plighted, that need reinvestment, that means that the people who live there are them people too. And most likely, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, they DOS, ADOS, BADOS, right? So who's benefiting from that? Are they going to benefit from that? Or are you going to benefit by your reinvestment and then deferring your taxes, and then y'all shuffling other money into it, right? They shuffling other profits and other assets into this bubble that they creating so that they can defer, so they ain't paying taxes. That's going to allow you to increase your money even more, right? So, right? It's, again, it glitter. Everything that glitter ain't gold. In this case, they're going to be able to do this for, I think, what did it say, 5 to 10 years, right? And based on the way that they did it for 180 days, it's something that has to do with the fact that when they talk about that 1031 exchange, which got a lot of different kind of restrictions in it, right? There's a lot of restrictions in that. And really, when you think about this opportunity, it's about economically distressed communities where new investments under certain conditions, right, they become eligible for preferable tax treatments. That's what this shit is. So this is a tax game where motherfuckers use taxes, kind of like some people who use like tax, what they call those Adam Valor. I think Adam Valor is taxes, but it's when you buy homes, when somebody don't pay their taxes and you come and you can purchase somebody's property just on the taxes, right? So it's like a tax game here. This is what they finna do. They finna play with the taxes to allocate for a period of time, 10, 15, 20 years, not paying no taxes, right? Or reallocate them by the time that this certain date come up. The lowest part of it, they only have to pay tax on that. The rest of that shit is tax free. That's the incentive for them getting in it. So they already looking at this already. So we not going to be involved in this. That ain't something that we're going to. So I agree with James Clyburn when it comes to that, right? I agree with him. But what I don't agree with the fact is the fact that he also spoke, and I had the video that talked about how he was saying about, you know, with Donald Trump being in the presidency, and then he said this atmosphere, and he said this has a reminiscence of what he remembers seeing in the 60s, that it's got that same flavor, it got that same scent. And he said this is dangerous. Now, again, if you understand all that, then why would you not also be thinking about, well, reparations? But I understand what he's saying. He said, well, they ain't going to never really go and be down for that, right? Right? They never going to really be like for it. And as much as, yes, we're pushing for it, we should be pushing for it, right? Because, again, it's not just the simple fact that we're pushing for it. It is something that is not, and it's right. It is something that is right. But a lot of people want to act as if like, no, you're not supposed to be getting that, right? So I have, let me see if I can pull this up, y'all. I got another, let's see. It should be another, I'm going to do this too. Let's see. What happened to that? Oh, man. What happened to that, though? I had this here. Let me put y'all on pause for a second, because I got something I want to show y'all. I need some water. My mouth dry as hell. All right, hold on for a second, y'all. Come back. All right, so I'm back. Sorry about that, y'all. Sometimes I got to do some of this stuff on the spur of the moment. It's because why? Well, you know how it is. Just because I say when the agent be here even though you think he don't be there, right? So I seen this, and I'm adding this because I originally didn't have it, but because it did on the day that I'm doing this, I seen this come up. And I wanted to add this because I'm like, you know, as we're talking about reparations, right? Now I want to play this before I play the one more I end it, but I want y'all to see this. Let me play it and check this out.
Reparations. Would you be in favor of direct monetary payments to black Americans who are descendants of slaves?
Can I tell you why I'm frustrated and disappointed by this reparation conversation? It's because it's being reduced to just a box to check on a presidential list, when this is so much more of a serious conversation. So do I support legislation that is race conscious about balancing the economic scales? Not only do I support it, but I have legislation that actually does it. In fact, I've got the only legislation, I think, in the entire Congress that Columbia University says would virtually eliminate the racial wealth gap in our country. It's something called baby bonds, which means that every child born in America would get a bond when they're birth, $2,000 placed in it, and during the time, every year of their life, depending on their family's income, they would have more money placed in it. The lowest income Americans, by the time they reach 18 years old, would have upwards of $50,000, real wealth, a stake in our economy to invest in going to school or education, starting a business, buying a home. And so the ideas I'm bringing to the table with very much conscious towards closing racial gaps is there, but let me go further than that, and this is one of the things that frustrates me about this conversation. Since slavery in this country, our nation's original sin, we have had overt policies fueled by white supremacy and racism that have been oppressing African Americans economically. But it didn't stop with slavery. Reconstruction period. It went even beyond the Reconstruction period into the Jim Crow period. Many of the best ideas we've had in America that have ushered millions of Americans into the middle class, blacks were systematically excluded, from the GI Bill to even Social Security is written to try to exclude the professions that African Americans were in. Even in my lifetime, you had redlining, you had mortgage loan problems. In fact, my family, to move into New Jersey from Washington, D.C., had to get a white family to pose as them in order to buy the house I grew up in. And so what I'm saying to you is, and my frustration is, if we don't have a way of addressing head-on in this country the persistence of racism, the persistence of white supremacy and implicit racial bias, and you know it even in the media. How do we talk about black protesters? They're thugs. You see it in our politics, Willie Horton and welfare queens, these tired tropes that still show up and that allow things to happen like mass incarceration, which has implicit racial bias in our criminal justice system that hurts blacks. So I want to make sure that we are dealing with the problem. That's why I support H.R. 40, which is a bill in the House that would bring together the best minds in America to deal with this issue. Not only trying to right economic scales from past harms, but to make sure we are a country that creates a more beloved community where all dignity and humanity is affirmed of every single person in our country.
And it's a complicated question, exactly. What are reparations? And I think that's part of the conversation. So we're going to move on and get more questions in now. I'm going to go to Miriam Birdsong now. Miriam is a retired nurse and educator. She's from Somerville, South Carolina. She's also the first vice chair of the Dorchester County Democrats. Miriam,
thank you for your question.
Thank you, sir. After 43 years of working as a nurse.
All right. So I wanted to play that because that, again, we just had James Clyburn, right, say what he said, right? And he had a way to do it, but the young man who got off his square and got stuck on to say cut the check. It would have been nice to hear what James Clyburn had to say. And I seen people who talk about this, and there was a point in time that he was actually for reparations. But maybe it's just the way everything is set up, right? And I'm not saying, and he's saying that the way you got it set up, you can't do it that way. So maybe he was about to say something, but it got diverted, right? So I ain't going to elaborate too much on him. Now, you got Cory Booker, right? And you see that him and Don Lemon, and again, this was the town hall meeting that they had, I think, in South Carolina, right? And you see that when Don Lemon posed the question to him, would you support reparations in the form of direct payment to black Americans who are descendants of slaves? Simple, right? Would you support reparations in the form of direct payment to black Americans who are descendants of slaves, right? And you know what Cory Booker did, right? Did you peep what he did? He said why he is so frustrated when we talk about this reparation conversation. He frustrated. Now, why would you be frustrated, right? He said it being reduced, right? He's saying that this situation or this conversation is just being reduced to a box to be checked as a presidential candidate list, right? So he's saying this is a thing that presidential candidates got to put a check mark that they're going to have to address. And he said that the issue was much bigger than that. And, you know, they clapped, right? This is a much serious conversation, all right? Now, remember he said that, right? He just said that. Again, this is how he started off, right? And so he said, now, well, do you support it? He said he support legislation that is race conscious, right? About the balance of the scale of economics. He said, not only do I support it, I have legislation that even does it. Does what? The reparations? Is that what he does? He got legislation that is for reparations. Because the question was, would you support reparations in the form of direct payment to black Americans who are descendants of slaves? Remember, that was the question that Don Lemon posed to him. He says that this becomes frustrating is because it just seemed to be part of the checklist. Now, again, I got another story that I didn't put in. I'll probably do on the next show, where Kamala Harris, remember when she came out and what she said originally, and then how the backlash came, and then people try to say we were bots and all this stuff, right? But now I'm going to show you how now they done spent it, and now they saying she down with us. So here's Cory Booker saying what he's saying. But he said in rebuttal to the question that I got legislation. I got a remedy for reparations. Did y'all hear him say what he said? He said that he's the only one in Congress who got the legislation, right? And that he said that co-signed what he's doing. The Columbia University said that what I'm proposing will eliminate the racial gap in our country. And what did he call it? The baby bonds. The baby bonds is what he called it. And let me see if I can pull this up in prime time live, because I already did the read. But I wasn't going to do it. But now I decide I'm going to do it and see if I can pull it up and get the right one off the bat. That would be lovely if that should be so. Right? So let me see if I got the right one. Let's see. Nope, that's not the right one. That's not it. Come on, give me the right one. Give me the right one. It's for fam now. This is for the fam. Okay? Let's see if this is the right one. Come on. It's the right one. That's not it either. Come on. No. Come on. Give me the right one. Give me the right one. Come on. Let's do this. Let's do this. Come on. Let's see if this is the right one. Come on. Let's be the right one. Okay, it's not that one. One more. Come on, y'all. Doing this in live time while I'm doing this. Right? So let me see. Hopefully this the one. It should be the one here. There you go. Got it. All right. Now check this out, y'all. Listen to this. Remember, I just gave you the points that he said. Right? Remember, I'll go over it once again before I play it. Remember, the question was posed. Would you support reparations in the form of direct payments to black Americans who are descendants of slaves? He says why he is so frustrated when we talk about this reparation conversation. It's been reduced to a box to check on the presidential list. This is a much bigger and serious conversation. He said I support legislation that is race conscious, of the balance of the scale of economics. Not only do I support it, now again, see how he making you think he talking about the question. But he not talking about the question. He talking about what he talking about. He said, I support it. I have legislation that even does it. The only legislation in Congress that Columbia University said it will eliminate the racial gap in our country, and they call it the baby bonds, which is every child in America will get, and at birth, $2,000 a year until they're 18. Right? Now I'm going to play you I read the article that goes back January 8th of 2018. It's where it originally comes from. Listen to it as it plays, as I read it for you. Here it go. All right. There's a serious proposal to give babies born in the United States $20,000 or more. You know I'm going to say that again. There's a serious proposal to give babies born in the United States $20,000 or more. This story was done January the 8th, 2018, coming from the Washington Post. And this is how it reads. Forget baby showers. There's a proposal to give every newborn in the United States a baby bond account with somewhere between $500 to $50,000 in cash. Neither the kids nor their parents would be able to touch the money until the child turns 18. Then the young adult could spend the trust fund on attending college, buying a home, or starting a business. The whole point of baby bonds would be to dramatically lessen wealth inequalities in the United States. According to the economists who came up with the idea, Derek Hamilton of the New School and William Darity of Duke University. The key ingredients of how successful you will be in America is how wealthy your family is. Hamilton says baby bonds are one way to change that. He argues he presented the idea at the American Economic Association conference in Philadelphia this weekend. Under the proposal, kids of incredibly rich parents such as Bill and Melinda Gates or Beyonce and Jay-Z will get the lowest amount, $500, while babies born into extremely poor families will get the highest amount, $50,000. There would be a sliding scale to determine how much each baby would receive based on the parent's wealth. A typical middle-class baby would receive around $20,000. While there are a number of criticisms about baby bonds, especially how to pay for them, presidents and prime ministers around the world are trying to figure out ways to reduce inequality. In the United States, inequality is back at the levels of a roaring 1920s. It's gotten so bad that Wall Street firms are warning their clients to pay attention to it because inequality is driving the rise of populism. Torsten Slok, Deutsche Bank chief international economist, says the United States and other nations are going to need creative thinking to address this. He called baby bonds an intriguing ideal. According to Deutsche Bank, nearly a third of American households now have $0 in wealth. The worst situation since the United States government began keeping track of that statistic, wealth outside a home, in the early 1960s. Families of color have struggled especially hard to try to move up the socioeconomic ladder. The median net worth of white households is 10 times that of African American households. People like to argue if only poor and black Latino families were more responsible and more better decisions, then equality could be dramatically reduced. Hamilton says, but years of data and real-life evidence don't support that. Hamilton points to the fact that most college-educated African Americans have less net wealth than whites who dropped out of high school. To some, baby bonds sound too radical for the United States, but Britain tried a similar plan in which every child born between 2002 and 2010 received a modest child trust fund of $250 to £1,000. The plan was axed during the Great Recession because of funding concerns. In the United States, Hillary Clinton endorsed a version of baby bonds in her 2008 presidential run, proposing to give all babies born in the United States $5,000 to be used for college or buying a home. I like the idea of giving every baby born in America a $5,000 account that will grow over time, so that when that young person turns 18, if they have finished high school, they will be able to access it to go to college, or maybe they will be able to make that down payment on their first home, Clinton said at the time. Hamilton says Clinton didn't go far enough. A few thousands is barely enough to pay for a semester at some community colleges. But the higher the amount of the baby bond goes, the greater the cost for the federal government. My first instinct in thinking about baby bonds is, how are you going to pay for it? Says economist BRONX a senior fellow at the Mercatus Center, a free market-oriented think tank. Hamilton estimated baby bonds would cost $80 billion a year, or about 2% of the United States $4 trillion in annual federal government spending. If implemented, the first payments would go out for 18 years, so there could be time to build up a budget for it. When asked where the money would come from, Hamilton pointed to all the incentives in the tax code, such as the mortgage interest deduction that mainly goes to wealthy families who don't need the money. Although the recent debate over the Republican tax bill illustrates how hard it is to take away tax breaks for housing. Critics also flag concerns about the formula to determine how much each baby gets and all the rules about when and how the money could be spent when a child turns 18. The Ruggie doesn't like paternalistic proposals where the government restricts how the money can be spent. People, even poor people, know what is best for them, she says. She says some on the right might get on board, but only if baby bonds replace some other welfare program to help low-income households. Hamilton doesn't want to do that. Baby bonds are like Social Security, but for young adults. Hamilton says this is not meant to replace our entire social safety net. But there's a growing belief that something needs to be done about inequality. Top business and political leaders are set to meet in Davos, Switzerland this month. The theme for this year's meeting is creating a shared future in a fractured world, with many of the discussion panels focused on what to do to lift the fortunes of those left behind. Deutsche Bank put on an 80-page report last week full of charts illustrating how life for the 1% is great, life for the top 10% is pretty good, and life for just about everyone else isn't much better financially than it was in the 1970s. By many measures, it's gotten worse for the bottom 90%. Inequality is likely a key source of populism in many countries, says Slok, the economist at Deutsche Bank. Many of our clients in the United States, Europe, and Asia are asking us, what is the next populist step if these inequality trends are not reversed? What kind of candidates are we going to see? It's very different to predict revolutions or social unrest. Slok isn't saying that will happen, but he says it becomes a hot discussion topic in Wall Street circles, in which many were caught off guard by BRONX and Donald Trump's election victory. Before joining the investment bank, Slok traveled the world for the Organization for Economic Cooperations and Development and the International Monetary Fund, advertising countries on how to solve problems, including inequality. He's quick to say there's no easy solution to a problem as complex as inequality. There is no holy grail. There's no easy answer to inequality, Slok says. Some say education and technology will solve the problems. Others advocate raising taxes and redistribution wealth. Slok says the reality is almost every major economy is getting worse right now, so nobody seems to have the right playbook. One of the most alarming charts in the Deutsche Bank report shows how people under 55 have far less wealth at this age than past generations did in the 1980s or early 2000s. It's another reminder how much the middle class is falling behind, even compared with their parents and grandparents. Proving the lives and the finances of the bottom 90% is likely to take some drastic changes, which is why Slok was interested in hearing more about the baby bond ideal. Baby bonds have a lot of similarities to universal basic income, which has generated a lot of buzz as possible solutions if robots cause mass job losses. The ideal is to pay everyone $15,000 or so a year, enough to prevent anyone from starving, but still low enough to incentivize people to try to work or start companies. Universal basic income and baby bonds are both ways of leveling the playing field, but the key difference is baby bonds are cheaper because the money goes out only once to an individual, not year after year. In the United States, a universal basic income would probably cost over $1 trillion a year, compared with an estimated $80 billion a year for baby bonds. Wealth gives you choice, wealth gives you freedom, wealth gives you opportunity, Hamilton says, but it takes wealth to beget more wealth. All right, so we back, right? So now you got to see the article that was talking about the baby bonds, right? So you heard the video talk with Cory Booker, as he said again about the reparation talk and how he's frustrated with that, but he had proposed that he made you believe that he's answering about reparations and that he got legislation that is actually going to remedy the reparations. So he came up with the grandiose idea that seemed like there had already been an ideal, and that's all it is an ideal that was proposed by, I think it's Derek Hamilton, and you got William Doherty, right? And I think it was Hamilton was the one who was, I think they were taking this into I think it was called, presented in as the idea for the American Economic Association conference that was held up in Pennsylvania, okay? And they were proposing this ideal. So it looked like Cory Booker has taken this ideal and run it and then trying to make it, try to put it as a bill. But I'm going to show you something. So now let's look at this baby bond that he's talking about. He says this proposal, and that's all it is a proposal, an ideal. He said that every newborn Now, wait a minute. I thought we were talking about reparations and the wrong that has been done for ADOS, BADOS, and DOS. Here it is once again, kumbaya, when it has to deal with the disparity and the history that has taken place against black Americans in this land. Anytime there's got to be some remedy and repair, we have to kumbaya. Everybody has to be inclusive, right? And so the baby bond says that every baby that is born, now if you make over $100,000, you get nothing. I think it's under $100,000, some more, you can get $500, right? Your child can get $500 a year, right? And the poorest of the poor, right? Accordingly to what Hamilton wrote in the article that he was proposing to take it with him to the American Economic Association conference, they had it at $50,000 as the max, right? But when you heard Cory Booker speak, he said 46,000, right? He made it 46,000. But if you look at the math that what he was saying, if he gave your child at birth $2,000 till they're 18, so all you know, 18 twice is 36. Where you get 46,000 from, right? See, already right there, your math ain't even right. So that means that you were just throwing something out there because, again, you had the people out there clapping because you said something to the fact that you're frustrated with the conversation and it's much bigger than that. And here he is, you trying to pose like you got a remedy. No, you're not. This ain't no remedy. Because how is it that if somebody, and they try to make it say, well, look at it, it's kind of like, you know, those ones, but the Jews and have a bar mitzvah, and when they get Sunday, they give money. And so that when that child grows, they already got money. But you talking about $36,000, right? $50,000 if you're talking about Hamilton's way, right? Even it said in the article that Hillary Clinton at one time proposed it for $5,000, right? But it said it came up short, right? Because you couldn't get nobody. Because again, they said the more that you put on to try to give, the more put strain, the greater strain it comes on the federal government, right? Now they said that it can be valued at about $80 billion a year to do that. Wait a minute. But that's what you're giving everybody. Now let's look at this. Black folks, at this point day and age, you're seeing a lot of the young ones out here are not even trying to have children, right? Because they can't afford it. What good is it to have a child that's a possibility only going to get $36,000 to $50,000? As if like that's a lot of damn money. Talking about you can use it to go to school, or you can open yourself a business, or you can get a house. Really? Really? And we talking about foregone conclude. We talking about foregone conclude. We talking about something that ain't here now. That again, let me show y'all this. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Hold on. Let me show you this. Now you see this here? This is Cory Booker's. That's it right there. 3766 American Opportunity Act. Account Acts. Right? That's what you see there. You see Cory Booker name up there? Introduced December the 18th, 2018. Right? That's what it says, right? Now, if I go down, it says last action was 12/18/2018, read twice and referred to the Committee on Finance. Right? So let's look at all the actions. And look what's it going to say. Huh? Read twice to the Committee on Finance action by Senate. That's all that's been done. Been read twice. You have a bill that you're proposing and still it's just like H.R. 40. It has to be, right? They got to vote it in. So you ain't proposing nothing more than what had already been proposed when you took H.R. 40. And H.R. 40 is going to study reparations. But it also says develop reparations, meaning after they done studied and tabulated what they done came up with, they're going to be able to propose at the end to now present it, to try to get it, right? But you still got to get that process started. It ain't no different than what he's doing here with the baby bond, the baby bonds. And so, you know what I'm saying? Are they serious? See, they not serious because they say they know white folks ain't trying to do that for you. Yet they know the disparity, as in the article talks about. There's a 10-to-1 disparity. White folks is 10 times more. An educated black person still is not even equivalent to a white high school person. Huh? So what do you mean to give a baby bond for somebody who ain't here yet, but they got parents, grandparents, right, who are all part of this atrocity, which this here, I don't understand. How you think how's that going to shrink in the wealth gap? People who ain't here to just get $50,000 is going to shrink the wealth gap when you talking about they about to transfer 60. Remember, I just did that a couple shows ago. $68 trillion white folks going to transfer to each other. And you talking about people who ain't even here yet to get $50,000 18 years still later is supposed to get, see, nonsense. Pure nonsense. And this is what they sit to you with a straight ass face saying a lot of cockamamie bullshit. When again, a third of American households have zero wealth. That's 33%. And it's probably bigger than that. And if it's 33, it's with black folks. And when you're American, you're trying to encompass all the numbers. We're talking about reparations and black folks. No one wants to deal with that. Right? Says that the median net worth, the net worth or wealth of white households is 10 times that of African Americans' household. 10 times. And then they had the nerve to say, well, if black and Latino families, if poor black and Latino families were more responsible and made better decisions, they wouldn't have been in this situation. I don't know, I can't speak for Latinos, but black folks, again, as we look historically about being disenfranchised by a systematic, Jim Crow, right? Reconstruction, right? Redlining. How you supposed to be? And then you know what Hamilton said in that article? He says the data in real life don't show that that's the issue. They can only do what they can do with what they got. You got that. You got Homestead Act, all that they talked about. Owning property and being able to transfer that property using the equity helps you and your family tremendously. But when you paying rent, right, living paycheck to paycheck, you'll never get your feet above ground. You're always one paycheck away from being back down to before you started working. You understand? So, again, he just posed some bullshit, and James Clyburn, he understands the game. A lot of people say what they say. He just understands the motherfucking game. And, yeah, that's that old way of looking at shit, and we get it. But what I'm saying is this. I'm going to play this, and we're going to ride the show out from that point because let me make sure I got, okay, yeah, this should be it right here, right? No, that's not it. Shit. Let me pause this up for a second, y'all. I'm doing a lot of stuff on spur of moment. All right, I'm back, right? All right, I had to make sure I had to do that. I had to make sure I got it right, right? All right, so based on what we just seen there, Cory Booker said what he said. That was not a bullshit. Baby bonds, again, putting everybody into the fray that everybody going to get. So anybody really trying to deal with reparations, they're not trying to really deal with it. They're trying to go around and saying all kind of bullshit. Some shit that you put in there, I just showed that bill that you put in there just fluff. You just threw the motherfucker up in there. Now you trying to use that shit as some kind of talking point. You still need support and need to get past all that other shit. And when you read it, the motherfucker is talking about gain tax. It's not it. Hold on, man. Let me hold on before I move on from that. Right? Remember that's S30. All right, so let me show it to y'all before I move on. Let me show, so can't say I didn't show y'all. You know, I try to make sure I be up on stuff. You know, I didn't want to do 3 hours a day, but it's almost getting there. So here's the bill history in congressional records, right? 3766, a bill to establish American Opportunity Accounts to modify estate and gift tax rules to reform the taxation of capital, income, and for other purposes. I guess it falls somewhere in this other purposes, right? To the committees on finances. That's what that is. But that ain't saying what he said it was saying. It ain't saying nothing about giving no children $2,000 a year till they're 18. It don't say nothing about that at whatsoever. So that's something he's saying. But yet the bill in itself doesn't even say that, right? So since we have James Clyburn, who should be under ADOS, Cory Booker, I assume he's supposed to be ADOS, right? Y'all seem to can't answer that the right way, right? Y'all seem to act like y'all don't understand how that goes, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna play somebody who ain't even from here, right? I'll play somebody from who ain't even from here. And he gonna say it the way you can't say it, but that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. And, you know, they just go to show a lot about who y'all are. And again, it is what it is, right? So, let me do this first. I'm going to set up the, you know, do this first. And let's get it.
You guys have any questions before we move on? Anything you want to chat about? No, we good? Yes, sir?
Do you think that like reparations should just go to like one like group, or like should it target like people that are in the same kind of like socioeconomic like group? Because
that's an interesting question. What do you mean by that?
Well, like there are like white people that have like been disenfranchised like recently, like
recently is the key. Recently is the key.
The country like deindustrialized, right? So like a lot of people in like manufacturing jobs and stuff, like
right.
areas were affected.
But so to your question, I think you have to understand what the word reparations means first. So reparations, you are repairing something that you have broken. You are paying for something that you were supposed to pay for. I'm not saying that there aren't people living in America today who are suffering and are going through pain and strife because of what's happening when it comes to the machines taking jobs, factories becoming becoming industrialized, etc. But reparations is a specific conversation about a specific time in America, and that is black people were slaves. You know what I mean? I've even heard people say like, oh, but there were some of the Irish who were indentured. Like, yeah, slavery. Look at the numbers, look at the time, look at the level of work. You could not work toward your freedom. For most black people in America, this was a time when you lived and died as a slave. And so that's what reparations is about. And so I hear what you're saying, but I think that's a completely separate conversation that needs to be had about the now. Because if you are not careful, what you then do is you combine everybody's suffering into the same bowl, and you make it seem like all injustices have the same weighting, and they don't. Just like crimes, you know, theft isn't the same as murder. We don't try them the same way. And as much as there is a white person who's suffering today, I feel for anybody who's suffering, because I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to suffer. I didn't come from a wealthy family. We struggled when I was growing up. But I also understand that there are levels of that suffering, you know? And so sometimes white people, it does block a white person, because you go, white privilege, and a person goes, I'm poor and I'm white. Where's the privilege? You know, white people are like, I wish I could activate my white privilege. I wish I could do it right now. White privilege! Give me something. I get that. I get that. Trust me, I get it. It is hard to accept that you have benefits because of the color of your skin if you cannot see the benefits that you have. But the thing I try to explain to a person is, think of it more like golf. Don't think of it as privilege, then think of it like a handicap, right? In golf, they acknowledge that you are in a position where you need so many advantages to be competitive in the game, right? So what they say is you have a handicap of 15, so that means like you're going to be hitting from this tee and you get more chances to get the ball in because we understand the position you're in. And if you're a black person in America, from slavery, from day one, the number of injustices that have held black people back in America amount to an insurmountable, like you look at black people's freedom, you look at black people's land, just land alone. The amount of wealth you can acquire over time if you own land is exponential, because you have the land, you have the fact that you can borrow based on the land, you have the fact that you can use the money that you have borrowed to grow more wealth, you can use it to grow your family's wealth. Just taking that away from black people alone is crippling them. And so you combine that with slavery, and then you look at Jim Crow laws. You didn't let black people in America live in the areas that they wanted to live in. They couldn't get loans from the banks that they wanted to get loans from. And then on top of that, when they started getting the loans from American banks were found to be giving them higher interest rates when in fact they were the same risk as many of the other races that they were giving loans to. So when you combine all of those things, I think it's safe to say that black Americans have a conversation that they need to be having with the United States. Doesn't involve me, doesn't involve white people, it's like, yo, American government, meet the black people. That's it. Have that conversation.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything. Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit.
You on this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on! And it definitely was not prepared for black people to in the end begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they've died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saved 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin. They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
The matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the sixth version.
5 months before me. There are only two possible explanations. They were 5 months before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Can't control me! I'm gonna smash you to bits! You can't make me do anything like Chris!
Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil. and to hate ourselves. I can't hate. You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga. And if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true. I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? It knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, Brother Greg, you coming by today? And I said, Malcolm, I love you. And I said, I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there. He said, what do you mean, Brother Greg? I said, well, I close tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East. And I said, but I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.